now go to another recorded interview. Also this time due to very different time zones because we are in the western part of the United States. We're in California, in the north part of California. We're in San Francisco, more precisely in Oakland. And we're gonna hear from Mr. Mike Collins. He's an independent consultant, and we're going to hear his implementation of CMDBuild as a medical devices asset manager for a very big company. And it is very interesting I think from this recorded video to know how CMDBuild can actually be used to manage basically just any kind of assets, not just IT assets, but really any kind of assets. They needed to have, as he will say, they needed to have a very specific customized tool, and they just couldn't find any until they landed on CMDBuild, and they appreciated very much the configurability of the tool and the fact that it really be fit to any kind of business. So let's see what Michael wants to tell us.
My name is Michael Collins, and I've been doing custom web applications for about 20 years. I work as an independent consultant for companies that need help managing their technical infrastructure. Currently, I'm working for a medical device and software company that has a need to develop an asset management system. They design and build medical devices that get sold in the United States and around the planet. And currently, when these things need to be repaired or serviced, they are handling all of that through email, faxes, and telephone. And it is quite painful for them because there's a lot of duplicative activity, managing all this stuff by paper. In email, it's quite painful. And so they decided that they wanted one single system to kind of manage all of it. And what they did is they hired me to sit down with them and develop the details of their specifications and requirements. Basically, I rolled up my sleeves and we did a lot of interviews about what their business model is, like how all these relationships around these devices need to work and who repairs them and who owns them and things like that. And then once we'd had all that documented about what their asset management system needs to do, then I started looking around to see what we could find. So, Huh?
That's when you came across CMDBuild.
I did eventually. Yes, I eventually, after I ran into a whole bunch of other places. Anytime you're doing software for a company, you have a couple basic solutions. You can find off-the-shelf software, which tends to be your least expensive option. And if you're doing something that's very common, like selling a certain type of widgets like T-shirts or CDs or something, there's a ton of software solutions that fit that business model just perfect. If you can find something, it's relatively inexpensive because they've been able to amortize the cost of development over lots and lots of different businesses that need that exact software. The problem is, if you're not selling widgets or T-shirts or CDs or whatever it is, you have a unique business model, which a lot of companies do, then it's going to be very difficult to find something that's going to fit your business model. And even if you do, the cost of development has not been amortized across thousands of businesses, right? So it's going to be expensive. So the next thing, if you can't find off-the-shelf software, is you can do custom software. And that was on the table, after we figured out what they needed. If we did a search and couldn't find what they needed, then they could hire me to just build something custom for them. That tends to be very expensive, and it's costly to maintain over time. And a lot of companies can't afford that. And so I started looking around and for different possible software solutions. And I don't know, should I mention any companies? Like, there were some enterprise solutions that were quite robust, but very expensive. It was by, should I mention any companies by name or not?
You did in the review that you gave us in the and it's on our website now. So, I mean, feel free to do it. I mean, I think we all understood what you're talking about.
Well, I'm not dinging the company. I'm just saying. So IBM has a solution called Maximo, and it's a great solution. I mean, it is very robust. It's an enterprise level solution. It's highly configurable. You could probably make it fit any business model, and they are incredibly proud of their solution. They charge you by user that can log in. And when we calculated the user fees, the licensing was going to cost $200,000 per year, every year. You know, and the way they have it priced, like if you have a small number of users managing a small number of high value assets, like let's say you have a fleet of yachts, you know, high value assets, it doesn't take a lot of people to manage it. It would probably be a reasonably, you know, not too expensive solution to do something like that. But if you were just selling some type of thing that's not super expensive and you've got thousands of these items and a bunch of different people managing it, it just seems like that solution's just way too expensive for a lot of companies. And so, you know, for the company that hired me, when we took a look at the pricing fees, they were just like, no way. $200,000 a year is just way out of our budget. So then I started, you know, looking at other companies. I found a number of companies who had created an asset management solution for something else, like an architectural firm or property management firm or something like that. And then after they sold it, built a custom solution for that company, they started generalizing it for other companies. But when you took a look at it, you just couldn't get away from the fact that it had been built for a specific business model, and now they were trying to stretch it to fit other businesses. And it just was not a good fit. It was like putting a size 9 shoe on a size 12 foot. It just wasn't going to fit. And so we kept looking around, and I found software that tried to be customizable. It was built for a variety of business models in mind, but it just wasn't as customizable as it needed to be, and it was kind of expensive. And eventually, I did come across CMDBuild, and I took a look at it, and the more I looked at it, the better it looked. It is highly customizable. The way I think of it is it's kind of like Microsoft Access on the web on steroids. It has an interface for building interfaces. It is built on top of Postgres, which is a highly respected relational database. It doesn't make any assumptions about your business model, and you know, there's a lot, customization is possible on a lot of different levels with CMDBuild. And the price point, you know, was very reasonable for entry into it. You know, you can, within a couple days of training, you know, I could learn how to use the interface in order to start making custom solutions. But then the folks at Tecnoteca have been there, so you know, if we need, you know, it's always fine for me to do it myself, but the folks at Tecnoteca also have a much deeper knowledge base. So if there's customizations I need to make, they can either train me how to do it, or they can do it for me. And so with
from what I understand is that the economical aspect was one of the trigger that actually made you point toward CMDBuild. In comparison to the other tools. So not really the fact that it was an open source tool. You didn't really care that much about the open source license, but more about all the price structures and the investment for learning how to use it and things like that. But not really. You weren't really looking specifically for an open source solution, were you?
Well, I like open source solutions because it leaves my customer with more options, like moving into the future. Like sometimes when you buy solutions that are, proprietary or the license is highly restrictive, it's hard to know like what, might happen in the future. And although price was one, certainly one key component, they didn't go for the cheapest option. We investigated a number of solutions which were less expensive, but they just were not as configurable. So I would say CMDBuild was an optimum solution between price point and configurability and adaptability to unique business models.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. That sounds like sweet as honey to us. So,
well, everybody's looking for value, right? It's not about the cheapest thing you can find. It's about the best value. And the best value means it's this crossover between quality and cost. And I just thought, for a small to medium business, that what CMDBuild has is a great value proposition because of its customizability, its ability to be extended to almost any business model you can imagine.
Yeah, I mean that's all right. Yeah, that sounds very good, and we're very very happy to hear this. So you were talking about the fact that within just a few days you became kind of independent and start using the tool. So I'd like to ask you about the learning curve for using CMDBuild and starting creating new assets and working a little bit around the interface and triggering the workflows or things like that. So you said it didn't take too much time, did it?
It didn't take too much time. I mean, I do have a technical background, so I kind of get how databases and relationships work. So, I mean, again, I would say it's a lot like Microsoft Access. It's got an interface for building interfaces. It's helpful to have some knowledge of kind of database design and how it works, but you don't need to be a programmer in order to use CMDBuild. And, like lots of other products, there's layers, right? Like I can go into Microsoft Access and I can, create two tables and make a relationship between them, and that's relatively easy to do. I can also do custom programming. I can make custom programming modules in Access. Now, that's a layer deeper. Not everybody's going to do that, but it's there. And like CMDBuild, it's like, the first layer is within a couple days, you can use the interface to build interfaces for your applications. There are other layers that go deeper than that. So, I mean, you can customize it in any way that it needs to be customized. And there's a lot of stuff you can do by yourself with just the basic administration layer. But additionally, if you have a business model that's getting a little complicated or difficult to use in the administration layer, then Tecnoteca is there to help you with kind of a deeper layer of customization. And it's not a hack. It's like CMDBuild is meant to be customized in a modular fashion. Whereas like many of the other solutions that we researched, in order to customize it for your business model, it would have required a hack. And then that puts you in the position in the future of now you've got something that works for your business model, but when they publish an upgrade, it breaks everything. With CMDBuild, the customizations, whether it happens on the administration layer, which I can do myself, or on a deeper layer in like database programming and triggers and things like that, when CMDBuild publishes an upgrade, those customizations don't have to break. And I think that's a really important distinction between a product that's meant to be customized to meet your business model and a product that has to be hacked in order to meet your business model.
Yeah, well, I just want to tell everyone that we didn't pay you any money to be so nice about describing our product. It's just your experience,
and I would never take money. or the money I get paid is always from my clients, right? So that my loyalty is always to my clients, and my clients can always rest assured that I never take, any type of fees from the software that I recommend, because I want my clients to feel like, I always have their best interest at heart. So, I mean, CMDBuild might not be the right solution for every single company out there, but for this medical device company who needs an asset management system, and we spent a long time researching all the alternatives, and it was the right solution for that company. It was the right value proposition for that company. And, we've been very happy with the development so far, and we've been very happy with the support that Tecnoteca has been provided as we've developed this solution for them.
All right, so going into a bit more detail of your usage of CMDBuild, what kind of customization activities you did on the CMDBuild? Well, with our help, but
Sure.
I know you did some customization activities.
Sure. Well, like for these guys, their business model is there's a number of different relationships that are very important. Their devices are owned by franchise customers. The franchise customers belong to corporate customers. The corporate customers have a relationship with distributors. And then there are service technician companies that are directly related to the franchise customer. And basically, these devices can float around. And so we had to make all these relationships so that if you change which franchise customer owns which device, you change the ownership on that level. It has to be reflected automatically up through the corporate level, through the distributor level, into the service technician level. And so we were able to arrange all of these relationships in such a way that simply by changing who owns a device, every view throughout the entire system is just changed. And so that was important. So when a franchise customer logs in, they see only the devices that that franchise customer owns. When a corporate customer logs in, if they have 5 franchise customers underneath them, they can see every device that any of their 5 franchise customers own. If a distributor logs in and the distributor services 3 or 4 corporate customers, they can see reports on all the devices that their corporate customers own through the franchise customers. And then when a service technician logs in, they might have 4 franchise customers, but each one belongs to a different corporate customer. Well, they only get to see the devices for the franchise customers that they service, none of the other franchise customers that they don't service. And so all of these relationships are incredibly important. Who gets to see what and when? Because they are delivering these companies to Asia, to the UK, to Ireland, to China, to Poland, and you only want each person to see the stuff that they have to deal with. You don't want them to see everything. And so this was incredibly important to them, this customization of relationships.
Yeah, that's something we want to really highlight when we describe our tool, is the chance that you have to effectively select the roles and permissions for each group of users, and that overcomes a common request, which is which we get, is to actually know if our tool is multi-tenant, but this could be easily overcome with this feature that lets you specifically select the role permission to visualize, edit, write, done, not write, not edit. Basically, yeah, really, you can give any permission to any group of people, and of course, a group could be composed also with just one single person. What do you think are the future plans of this project?
Well, so we pretty much built out the system as it is now. We're at the last stage where we need to import legacy data. So the company I'm working with now keeps all of their data in QuickBooks. And this is part of the problem is, when they were smaller, QuickBooks was manageable as a way of keeping track of some of this stuff. It's just not really manageable anymore. So, but we have to export the data, and then import it and for a couple of customers that have agreed to do beta testing for it. And then so that's the next stage for this. They're ready to roll it out to a couple of their customers.
All right. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Well, I think it could be. I mean, I think we discussed about a lot of interesting things, and we're very very happy to hear such nice words from you and from the final end user. And that's just great. It's too bad that you cannot attend live the event on the CMD Build Day, but due to very different time zones, that's absolutely understandable. But that will be for 2018. Well, I mean, you got 2 years in advance to.
There you go. I'd love to come and visit in person.
Yeah, there you go. We'll try to do it here maybe, so you can come here and have a look around, meet us in person. That would be great. Well, Michael, I thank you once again very much. I think that we'll just keep on working like this. It's really going well, and we're very happy again to hear that we got a satisfied customer over there, and we will do our best to keep on working this way.
We look forward to continuing our relationship with Tecnoteca and to using CMDBuild for our new asset management system. And we wish you guys the best of luck with your CMDBuild day.
All right. I thank you once again, Michael. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Much.
Take care, Francesca.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, thank you again, Michael, and thank you for wishing us good luck. I mean, so far everything went very good. We didn't have any technical issue. I don't